My top fragrance discovery of 2021 was Parfum de Marly's Darlie. I mentioned this fragrance when we did a reaction video to Demi Rawling. She's been a reviewer that I've watched for years, but I didn't realize she actually mentioned this fragrance by Parfum de Marly. She said that this is a fragrance that's reminiscent of Jean-Paul Gaultier Le Mal, which is one of my favorite fragrances of all time. So she said it smells more rich and more long-lasting, and I agree with her. I feel like this is in between Le Mal and Reflection Man. I felt the Reflection Man was a bit too bright and floral, a little bit too different from Le Mal. I think currently this is the best Jean-Paul Gaultier Le Mal alternative in the modern day. It's bright enough to be worn as a fresh daily signature, but it retains enough of that sweet powderiness that we love from the original Le Mal. Fantastic release, everybody's sleeping on it. We've reached 40,000 subscribers on YouTube, 87,000 followers on Instagram, and 400,000 followers on TikTok. It's been a great year for School of Scent, guys. I hope you've all been enjoying yourself in the last 12 months. Let's get into this video to wrap things up. The last upload of the year. Class is in session. I asked you guys on Instagram to tell me what your best fragrance discovery was of 2021. These fragrances don't necessarily have to have been released this year, as long as it's something that's new to you. And all of these will have been released in 2021, and I'm gonna say actually some of these are my top discoveries also. We'll discuss them. We're gonna go through 30 fragrances, giving you value for your time watched on YouTube. Let's get into it. Prada Luna Rossa Black. This is so underrated. I think it's one of the best in the Luna Rossa line. It's a very strange and unique date night fragrance. It smells synthetic, kind of like Chanel's No. 5. There's nothing in nature you can compare it to. I always say it smells like a sexy, sweet, musky lotion fragrance. If you have like a soft to the skin, very closely projecting dark, sexy lotion, think of it that way, guys. I think it's a very nice, unique creation by Prada. Sauvage Elixir, of course we have to discuss this. I think this was a triumph for Dior this year. They could have taken the Sauvage name and ran with it and just used it to make money, but they actually made something significantly different and something that's worth actually owning. And it's actually worth the expensive price tag also, which is difficult to say for something like Bleu de Chanel's Parfum, for example. I think it is a triumph. I think it's different enough, but still also has some of that DNA from Sauvage, and it's got beast mode performance. It can still be nauseating. I don't reach for it too often, but I still appreciate it for what it is. It is still very artistically good. Versace Eros Flame, another underrated fragrance. You're getting 18 plus hours. I get 14 plus hours. Yeah, it's beast mode, and I think it does the blend of the Eros DNA more smoothly. It doesn't jump down to the vanilla like in the original Eros. It kind of goes down and dries down more nicely, in my opinion. Underrated flanker. Light Blue Forever. Now this fragrance was a little bit polarizing. It got mainly positive attention by the community. I personally don't think that highly of it. I think it's a bit too simplistic, but if you like a nice realistic grapefruit note in the designer game, I'll give it that. It does that well. That's its main thing is going for it, but I still prefer Light Blue Intense. But hey, still I appreciate it's a nice, it's not a redundant release in the line. It's a nice flanker at the very least. Red Tobacco by Mancera, for sure. The dry down is so addictive, that is true. Red Tobacco is very good value for money. I don't think anyone watching this should buy the 120ml bottle unless you just want it for the appearance. 60ml is more than enough. I have a 10ml sample. I'm struggling to get through it. 2 sprays will fill up the room and will last on your skin for 24 hours. The dry down is amazing. It's one of the best dry downs I've ever smelled, actually. The problem is that the first 8 hours can be quite harsh and abrasive. I personally like it, but it's more polarizing in this first 8 hours, but I agree with you. Tom Ford's Black Orchid, yeah, some guys really love this. It really depends on your personality type. I personally prefer the Black Orchid Parfum, the new golden bottle that's on the way to me, which I'll be wearing more often. It's a more boozy, rum variation of Black Orchid, which I think smells more masculine. Azara, the Most Wanted, I've spoken about it several times on this channel. I think this is going to be the Eros killer. I think this is a nicer, more modern take on the clubbing DNA, something fresh and sharp in the opening and dries down to a very sweet toffee later on. Beautiful fragrance, loud projector, great performance as well. Toy Boy, I'm glad more people are discovering this fragrance. Funnily enough, I mentioned that fragrance in one of our most popular videos this year, saying it was a cheap fragrance. I gave it 10 out of 10. And coincidentally, shortly after that video, this fragrance went back up in its original price. It's no longer a cheap fragrance. I don't want to claim that it's because of me, but I did notice that, and I think I still think it's worth the price, to be honest. This original price is very fair that they're asking for. Bad Boy Le Parfum. Yeah, this is a new release by Carolina Herrera. I thought the original Bad Boy was a bit underwhelming, and I think this new Le Parfum doesn't smell anything like it. The original is more of a chocolate cacao, sweet gourmand fragrance, whilst this is very spicy, aromatic, a lot of pepper in this fragrance, and I don't really see how they're related, but this is also underwhelming. It has good performance at the very least, but it's just too simplistic and forgettable. Dolce & Gabbana King Eau de Parfum. I like this fragrance, and I like the advertising campaign also of that Italian guy. We've all seen it, we all know the one. I think this is a very good summertime fragrance. It has very good performance as well. A lot of people don't get very underwhelmed by summer fragrance performances, but this will not let you down. If you want a 10-hour long-lasting fragrance that has that similar Invictus bubblegum DNA, but the Dolce & Gabbana twist on there, it's a little bit more handsome, mature in my opinion, a little bit more unique with the fig notes, I think you guys should check this out. A lot of the people in the community likes to hate this line, but I think KEDP is a very nice fragrance. PDM Calan, again, more hate for this fragrance also. Polarizing in the opening. It's not the usual PDM style. Right now I'm wearing Layton, which is very safe, but still smells very expensive and nice. This smells expensive, has good high quality ingredients, but the pepper note is very, very harsh and polarizing. It just doesn't go away. It's very potent, realistic pepper. I think it's cool for what it is, and I think the orange and vanilla dry down that comes later on is more pleasant, easier to smell. But I still think it's a nice signature. If you want a polarizing but cool, unique signature, then Calan is still worth checking out in my opinion. Definitely a try before you buy. Xerjoff Naxos. We're sticking to the great niche fragrances here, guys. Definitely, if you want one of the best tobacco fragrances, bar none, that you want something that makes you smell expensive, something for special occasions, then Xerjoff Naxos is fantastic. Some people say this is very expensive, which is why the next submission of Alexandria's 1981X, which I've also owned a sample of, is a fantastic alternative. They get it very close. I'd say maybe 90%, 90 to 95%, but it's more close to the skin. So overspray a little bit more, but it's definitely insane how close it is for the price you're paying. Maybe a tenth of the original price of Naxos. Alexandria just slept on as a house in general, probably my favorite clone house at the moment. Mancera Black Gold and Fragrance Dubois New York Intense. I'm putting them together because they're both a fresh, versatile, unisex, probably a little bit out the shower smelling rose and oud combinations. Both of these fragrances are beautiful. A little bit slept on in both of these brands for some reason. I know that New York Intense has gotten me a lot of compliments so far. Black Gold haven't worn it enough to get that, but I think it would also. I think it's very versatile. Cedra Boisé is nice, but I think Black Gold is probably just a tiny bit better actually. I think more people should check that fragrance out. These are both rose and oud combinations. Very slept on both of these fragrances. Now this is one of my personal favorites discoveries of this year. Issey Miyake L'Eau d'Issey Noir Ambre. Now this, I've said a controversial statement about this fragrance. I think if somebody in their collection owns both this fragrance and D&G The One EDP, I would not see why someone would pick D&G The One EDP. Maybe the one is a little bit lighter, you can wear it in more warm conditions, but I do think this lasts a lot longer. It smells more expensive, it's more interesting to smell, it has a similar vibe to The One. I don't think you need to own The One EDP or the original La Nuit de l'Homme by YSL if you get this fragrance. I know it's hard to find, but in the UK, guys go to Essential and they're selling it for a good price at the time of this recording. Speaking of La Nuit de l'Homme, of course, Blue Electric made massive shockwaves in the community. I just saw some Fragrantica. I thought it was going to be another generic and forgettable La Nuit flanker, but this basically resurrected the original's DNA, the vintage formulation of La Nuit de l'Homme, and I think it probably has. I haven't smelled the vintage, but it smells like a more intense, better performing La Nuit finally. It's still fresh enough to wear as a daily signature, but it's very sexy. It is a beastly date night fragrance and gets me a lot of compliments. It's been one of my most worn since I bought this fragrance. I'm in love with it and I definitely think it's worth the hype. Again, if you're in the UK, I personally got my bottle from My Origin. MFK's Gentle Fluidity Silver. Now, I have a little sample of this fragrance. Here it is, Gentle Fluidity Silver by MFK. And I struggle to get into this fragrance. It's got its very own unique style. It's definitely still MFK's work, but it's got this very weird, transparent, clean muskiness to it. This is a super I would say probably is metallic, clean, musky fragrance. It's super aromatic, it has its own style. I think if someone wants a really clean, expensive, elegant signature, they should definitely check it out. It's not my style personally. I kind of think it smells like toilet cleaner, if I'm being honest with you guys. But I don't want to put this work down. It is masterful perfumery, and I think it will work better on other people's skin. It doesn't really work on my skin too well, if I'm honest. If we're talking about light, clean, unique fragrances from this year, H24 was interesting by Hermes. I was having a lot of hype on this fragrance, as the rest of the community was, after the masterpiece that was Terre d'Hermes, one of my most favorite lines in general. A 10 out of 10 fragrance, really, the Eau de Toilette. This is not a 10 out of 10 in my opinion. Jeremy seems to think so, or he seems to imply so, but I think it's a little bit too sharp, a little bit too synthetic for my liking. It's got this particular niche, I think, of working well as a mature man's warm weather office fragrance, in my opinion. I think it's perfect for that. It smells like a sharp lime, a freshly pressed linen shirt fragrance. If you combine those things together, you can imagine them in your head. It's a bit metallic as well. Then that's the kind of fragrance you get. It is unique. I respect them for trying something different, but I'm going to be holding on for a flanker, which is going to be more impressive because up until now, I'm not really impressed by H24 after many wearings. If you think H24 deserves more praise, let us know in the comments down below. PDM Layton, I didn't like it at first. Tried it again at Nordstrom, bought it and love it. You know what? I actually didn't like Layton myself either when the first time I tried it, because it's so different. It's so strange that now you think it's actually a very mass appealing fragrance, but it just smells so different to other designer fragrances. I think your nose just needs to take a little while to get used to the PDM heavy musk oriental style that they have, their signature DNA. But once you do, you realize, yeah, Layton is just a sexy fragrance. I'm wearing it now, guys. I still think it's one of the best on the market. Amouage Interlude Man Black Iris. I had a sample of this, fantastic fragrance. It's still a bit heavy, but it's apparently a more smooth and light version of the original Interlude Man. I think it's just a very interesting, expensive smelling iris fragrance. If you want an iris and oud fragrance, that just smells beautiful, beautifully blended with high quality ingredients. I think it's one of those fragrances that's easily worth the money, actually, even though it's very expensive. Grand Soir by MFK. Now this is also easily worth the money. I think it's currently the best MFK fragrance on the market. If you want the best, bar none, date night amber fragrance, Grand Soir is it. 1 Million Parfum. This is an interesting fragrance. I don't see how it is similar to the rest of the line. It smells more like an Invictus flanker, if anything. It's like a white floral bubblegum fragrance. Surprisingly bright and cheery. It doesn't really smell anything like the original. I was a bit surprised by it. I don't really hate it. I think it's nice, but I still think the original and Lucky are better purchases at this point in time. And of course, we're all looking forward to the 1 Million Elixir, which should be interesting to try. Acqua di Parma Oud, again, super underrated oud fragrance. If you want sharp, fresh oud with an aquatic citrus twist on there, you can wear all year round, mature, elegance, beast mode performance at 12 hours. Do not sleep on Acqua di Parma Oud, guys. Bohemian Lime by Goldfield and Banks. This is such a good discovery by myself as well. This is one of my personal favorites. This is better than Light Blue Intense in my opinion. It's triple the price, so you should expect so. It lasts 6 hours, still good performance in my opinion, and it's the smoothest citrus masculine fragrance you wear in the summertime, in my opinion. Versace The Dreamer just got into fragrances and my girlfriend loves it on me. I think The Dreamer is really good for the price. You're getting good performance and you're getting an artistic fragrance. It doesn't smell extremely expensive, but you're not usually going to expect it to smell expensive for £20. I think it is definitely worth having if you like the history and art of perfumery in general. I think most guys should try it out at the very least. I think it suits certain guys more than others. Nobody's complimented me whilst wearing it, but I personally just enjoy wearing it for myself rather than anyone else. PDM Carlisle, more PDMs. I saw your review, I sampled it, I bought it, and I love it. I think Layton is easily more safe than Carlisle, but these days I do think Carlisle is probably slightly just better than Layton. It has more complexity, it's more of a masterpiece, it's more interesting. But I do think it's less versatile. It's definitely only a cold weather fragrance, whilst Layton you could probably get away with wearing it in the springtime. JPG Scandal for Men, one of the best designer winter fragrances for me. That's interesting because I think Scandal, although to me it was underwhelming because it smells too simplistic, I do think you can wear it probably most of the year round as a casual or evening time fragrance. I think it's nice, it's pleasant, it has this interesting balanced caramel vibe it's going for. It's a balanced, fresh caramel scent. If you're interested in that kind of thing, it does smell very modern. I don't think it's trying to go too different, but it's not a redundant release. Not bad. I don't think it's one of JPG's best, but it's not bad. It's not bad. It's a safe, mass appealing release. Now this one speaks to my soul. I actually discovered this fragrance maybe 2 years ago. Tom Ford's Fougere d'Argent. I've had several samples of it, and no matter what, I keep telling myself, oh, I'll buy it when I can find it at a good price. But it's one of those fragrances I'm gonna have to buy at retail. I love this fragrance. I think it's one of the best Fougeres ever created. I think it's took inspiration from YSL's Rive Gauche, the tin can version, but it's been modernized, made more sexy. It lasts a long time, 10 hours with a soft projection. I don't get any compliments with it, but I love it for myself. It's sharp, beautiful lavender, and I just think it is a masterpiece. I prefer it over Beau de Jour, which does give me more compliments in fairness. Kilian Angel's Share, a triumph in the community. We all discovered it, it got a lot of hype. All of us tried it, and I think this is easily worth the money. I wasn't the hugest fan of Kilian's fragrances. I've tried a handful of them, but Angel's Share is probably the most balanced. It doesn't go overly gourmand like a lot of their other scents. I think this is probably the #1 boozy scent on the market right now. Easily worth the money. And that concludes the video, guys. Let me know, what has been your favorite moment of the year 2021 so far? For me, it's probably been the process of starting to work on our own fragrance, which hopefully we'll be able to release to you guys very soon. Make sure to check out our other videos in the meantime. Thank you for watching, guys, and being with us through this interesting year. I will see you in the next one. Class dismissed. See you guys in 2022. Bye.